While we complain about cold weather and a crappy parking spot, families in Aleppo are fighting for their lives. This isn't about partisanship. This is about human beings. Hi, I'm Tommy, and my show starts now. Welcome to the show. I'm Tomi Lahren. So the scenes out of Aleppo are startling and saddening. How could the world be such a nasty place for so many? How could humans harm their fellow man like this?
To everyone who can hear me, we are here exposed to a genocide in the besieged city of Aleppo. This may be my last video.
Acid militias are maybe 300 meters away. No place now to go.
أطفالنا تذبح، نساؤنا انحارت أعصابنا، لن يبقى لنا شيء. أين أنتم اتقوا الله؟
So it's times like these when understanding is needed most. I've never been to Aleppo or Iraq, but my next guest has, and in fact just returned home from Mosul. Joining me now with what he saw and what he took away from it all, I welcome Chief Researcher for the Glenn Beck Program, Jason Buttrill. First of all, welcome back.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you back. I know that you've been talking about this trip for quite a long time. You spent 6 days in Iraq. You returned, went to Mosul. We've got a lot to talk about there. But before we get to your trip, I do want to talk about Aleppo, and I want to talk about the scenes that we're seeing right now. I don't know if it's getting as many headlines as perhaps it should. I know that Trump and Kanye's meeting was trending on Twitter higher than anything out of Aleppo, which I'm not sure what to make of that. But situation going on right now, what do you think, best case scenario, as we sit here in the United States, what can we do to help?
Well, what we should have done was Obama had all the initiative that he could have taken on this. He did his famous red line in the sand where he said that if you use chemical weapons, I will respond with full force to the United States government. He was a huge bluff. He did not do that. So basically what we've seen is, and what we just saw in those video clips right there, is we are witnessing a full-on war crime happening in real time. That's what we're seeing. Now, there's so many steps that we could take right now to deal with this. We could charge Assad for war crimes, and in effect, that would implicate the Russian government and Vladimir Putin as aiding and abetting a war criminal, which that right there opens up sanctions. There's so many things we could do to cripple them and to do things to stop them, or at least slow their process here. But we've done nothing. The Obama administration has done nothing. They've sat back and let this happen. And like I said, we are watching in real time a war crime going on. Can you imagine if we had this type of media attention when Stalin was doing his killing his 60 million plus people, or when Mao was killing his, or when Hitler was killing his? We wouldn't have stood for it. The world would have reacted. This is the equivalent. You're watching it right now, and we're doing nothing. It's ridiculous. And
why do you think that is, though? Why do you think we are doing nothing? Why do you think? Well, we all know that the red line was a mistake to even say it if you're not gonna do it. I mean, that's what leading from behind creates. But now, in this situation, moving forward, if the United States is to engage, why are we waiting? Why are we doing nothing?
A lot of this goes back to Obama's legacy tour of doing a deal with Iran, the nuclear deal. A lot of this goes back to there. He has been scared out of his mind, out of his pants, to do anything that's going to jeopardize that. He has capitulated and appeased the Iranian mullahs so much that he is basically he's had his hands tied. We've had our own sailors have been kidnapped by them. Basically, they probably were tortured. I don't know, allegedly. But who knows what happened to them? We did nothing.
No, we actually sent John Kerry to apologize to the Iranians for having our sailors in their space. That's what that amounted to.
Yeah, we apologized for doing nothing, and they were the ones that did things to us, and we still did it. It's just ridiculous. But this is just another one of those things. Like, I talked to some people in the Middle East just recently, and they're scared of what they called the Iranian crescent, the Shiite crescent, which basically starts from, this is a strategy that they've had for a long time now. You're just now seeing it come to fruition, and the Russians are helping making that happen. But basically, it's a sphere of influence all the way from Iran, goes through Iraq, through Syria over to Lebanon. They now have a crescent, a sphere of influence that exists all the way from Iran all the way to the Mediterranean. That's what they're after. And Obama has basically had his hands tied because he does not want to interrupt them. He wants them. He wants a balance of power. Basically, what he's seen is he's tired of this Sunni jihadist threat, and he thought what would fix all that was if he just enabled the Iranians, the Shiites there, the main ones, to basically be the main source of
when are we going to understand that when we try to pit the Sunnis and the Shiites and the Shiites against the Sunnis and we try to take sides there, it never works out? Time and time again, we're trying to pick a good versus the evil here. You know, I know that those that are serving in the Middle East right now, they say the same thing. They say, well, we're supposedly, the Sunnis are our friends and the Shiites are not, but we don't really trust the Sunnis either, so we're kind of in this situation where we're in the middle of the two, and we're going through the motions.
What I cannot, and we'll get to what's going on in Iraq later, but the very similar situation of what's going on in Iraq is happening to Syria right now, and the people that are starting to take control, and this is what we have to watch going forward, are these Shiite militias. They've been trained by Hezbollah in Lebanon, and they've also been trained by the IRGC in Iran. These are very bad guys. The Kurds call them the next ISIS. They're just waiting to be attacked next. After ISIS is gone, these Shiite militias are going to attack them. I've talked to them. I've sat in UN tents and talked to people that have been victims of them. They're like, whoa, we never even received this type of treatment from ISIS. But these people are kidnapping like little kids in the streets, and they're drilling holes through kids' legs just to intimidate the public. They're decapitating people. It's exactly like what we saw.
And this is Iran, mostly.
The Iran is sending these orders. They're the ones that's training them and funding them. They're the ones that are sending them out.
Okay, so they're training them and funding them, and then we roll back sanctions to try to do some kind of a deal, which is a concessions list. So we have our hands there, too. I mean, this also falls on President Obama with this Iran deal and lessening the sanctions for, I don't know what we gained from this Iran deal, but they parade it around like it somehow led to global peace.
Oh, he's flying airstrikes in support of these Iranian Shiite militias. He's enabling them to take control. Now what we're seeing near Aleppo. Now, they're starting to finally let people out. It's like, so there's roughly about 50,000 people in eastern Aleppo. There's about 7,000 to 10,000 fighters, but they're all leaving Aleppo now and dispersing. Now, all the people that are dispersing, fighters, civilians, whatever, these Shiite militias, and we're already getting reports, are starting to kill a lot of those civilians as they come out. Now, the sectarian strife that's just starting to brew is about to blow over. This is about to get a lot more bloody than it is now. It's going to become a guerrilla-style war, and a lot of the people that have nowhere else to go, eventually the rebellion will probably be gone. But where else are they going to go? They're going to go to the Al-Qaeda affiliate, or they're going to go to the Islamic State. So basically, you're making the global terrorism situation worse, and you're making the sectarian war going on in Syria worse. By not responding to Aleppo, you're helping this to happen. Now, what do you think is going to happen to all the refugees? Do you think the refugees are just going to stop now? Obama not responding in the beginning, he's now enabling all the more of these refugees to disperse out into Europe and to go all over the place. And again, we're going to have pockets of the jihadists that are going to be escaping along with them.
That's the biggest thing here, because I know that as soon as we talk about Aleppo, whereas you and I say, look at President Obama helped create this with his false red line. So we look at it and we say, listen, this is the Obama administration at work here. And we can see and we can put the fault where it truly lies. But you know, the left is not going to do that. They will never do that. What they will do is they will say, look at you nasty conservatives, nasty Republicans that don't want to bring in the refugees. You don't want to pump them into the United States. They're going to blame us. They're going to say because we won't open our doors to them, knowing full well that ISIS has already said they're implanting sleeper cells within the refugee population. We see it in Europe. We should be learning our lesson from that, but that is going to be the new narrative. What do we do to politically skate around it, but also have concern for humans, for human beings, and want to help? What do we do?
All right. Well, the first thing we need to do, and I alluded to this before, is we have to straight up call this for what it is. It's a war crime. We have to do that. Once we do that, once Assad is labeled a war crime, then anyone else that's involved with him is going to also be labeled a war crime, and then we can actually do some action. Then we actually I know that the left does not want to intervene militarily. Hopefully we can correct that post-January, and I also had some pretty funny conversations with the Kurds and Peshmerga. They love Trump, by the way. They love him.
Yeah.
They're actually they're looking forward to the future now because they hate the Obama administration. But we have to get more involved than we are now. We have to. The only way to deal with the refugee situation and the prospect of more terrorism going forward and sleeping into these refugees is to actually go in and deal with the situation. I know
deal with it, though. Deal with it. Not what we're doing right now. Because here's what people are going to be saying, because I have a little of this within myself, looking like at Iraq, saying, okay, we had to go in then. This was the same conversation. We had to go in, we had to go in, we had to go in. We went in. Look what happened. We didn't finish the job. We pulled out, and then ISIS happened. And then we look at Gaddafi in Libya, and we said, well, we had to get him. That was Hillary Clinton. That was what she wanted. You know, she wanted to topple Gaddafi, and then we do that, and then look at Libya, look at Benghazi, look at what we're left with. So people are looking at Syria thinking the same thing. Okay, we go in whatever way we decide to do, it's going to be half, you know what, and then we're going to have the same situation that we saw in Libya and in Iraq and everywhere else in the Middle East where we failed.
Yeah. Well, if you're serious about dealing with this, it's going to take considerable resources. I mean,
a ground force?
A considerable ground force. That's what it's going to take. As it is right now, I do not see the Kurds and 200 more additional U.S. forces going in and defeating the Islamic State. That's just not going to happen. Basically, Obama, you're seeing what Obama's doing. He's punting. He does not want to deal with it. That's what those 200 soldiers are for, because that's not going to do anything. He's punting, saying, look, I'm doing something, but he's not really doing anything. He wants the next president, he wants President-elect Trump to deal with it. He wants it on his legacy. So when we have to commit ground forces, he didn't want to do that. So he's been delaying and delaying and delaying and enabling all these refugees and terrorists to spread out all over the world. Basically, we can go back and look at it and say, this is where it started. Now Trump had to deal with it.
Well, with the left is when the left comes at us and says, oh, you're the mean conservatives that don't want to take in the refugees when we know we can't properly vet them, then we're going to turn it back and we're going to say, you know what, Obama could be handling and dealing with this right now, but he's choosing not to for political reasons. So if people are dying in the streets, don't point at us.
Exactly.
All right, we're going to come back, talk about more, and talk about your trip. So much to talk about. Yeah, next, more on Iraq, Syria, and the whole mess in the Middle East. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Now, I am rejoined by Chief Researcher for the Glenn Beck Program, Jason Buttrill. So, Jason, things are gut-wrenching in this part of the world right now, but you recently took a trip and you caused a little bit of controversy, and one of those people that likes to confront controversy head-on, and I like to get it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about some of the controversy and give some explanation.
Yeah, I'm not used to getting my teeth kicked in for all the world to see. I probably could have used some of your advice on there. I thought about calling you, actually, when that was going down. That was kind of...
Yeah, you should have, because I'm used to getting my teeth kicked in by everyone from the left, right, and in between almost on a daily basis, including a lot of people, you know, in pop culture. So I'm used to it. Yeah. But what you did is controversial in a different way. Yeah. I want to let you explain it and let you address it, because there are some, I'm sure, that aren't even aware of what you did and why it was problematic or why it caused a little bit of a stir. Yeah. So I'm going to let you explain it for those that aren't familiar.
So, yeah, I end up taking a few shots at ISIS while I was over there. They handed me a Russian Dragunov sniper rifle, and I did take some shots at ISIS. I haven't talked about this at all, so I just say what kind of led up to that point.
So that's the end, that's the climax. Let's go back to the beginning. And I'll even fill people in, because you and I have been talking about your trip to Mosul for so long, because you have talked about it, you wanted to do it. You spent 6 days in Iraq with Dan Andros, who we miss dearly, who didn't die, by the way. He just left the blaze. But I know I had to preface that there. But so you and Dan spent 6 days in Iraq. I know that you were itching to get back to Mosul. You wanted to see what was going on for yourself, and you're a military man. Yeah. That's another thing that I think is very important to point out, that you're not just, you know, Tom, Dick, and Harry over there. You're someone that served our country in the United States Marine Corps. So let's get that out there first and foremost. Yeah. You went to Mosul. What brought you to Mosul? How did this, what was the lead up to you going to Mosul?
So I'm not a journalist. I'm a research guy. I go to research many projects for Glenn, Blaze, just whatever's going on. And as soon as the Mosul op went down, I still have contacts over there, and I said, you know, when this goes down, let us know so we can go over there and see what's going on, and we'll bring back whatever information we can. So it went down. We finally got all the logistics set up. We went over there. And the first thing, well, I mean, for one thing, just getting into the Mosul thing is a mess right now. There's multiple different actors that are involved. There's Kurds that are involved. There's the Iraqi police that are involved. There's Iraqi special forces. There's Shiite militias, like over in Aleppo. I mean, it's a mess. So it's very political and hard to get up there, but we eventually did. But when the day in question, when I got into a little trouble, I was talking to my cameraman, and he was like, Jason, we have to get out of Iraq. And I was like, what's wrong? It's Ahmed. If you watch the show, you probably know him. We love the guy. But he goes, yeah, ISIS is going and kidnapping journalists out of Kurdistan. They're kidnapping journalists all over Iraq. He goes, they get our cell phone numbers, they're reaching out via Facebook, Twitter, everything, basically saying, we're going to pick you up this day, we're going to get you this day. We know all the journalists there. Journalists are our prime target. We're going after every single journalist. You know, a journalist before a soldier. And that really irritated me. That really made me mad. So we get out to a point, we come under, there was some fire going on around Mosul. We got away from that, went to another frontline position where there was some Peshmerga. There were some more fire that we were taking from there, and so we were taking some shelter in that area. And there was a point where there was some ISIS out there, and a lot of things were going through my head, a lot of things that were leading up to, and I ended up doing it. I ended up tweeting it out. And
oh boy, we know Twitter can be the best of things and the worst of things. But you know, the thing about Twitter, and I want to talk about it before you fully go into it, because I've had my experience on Twitter as well. You get 160 or some odd characters to speak, and you don't get to provide any context. You're saying something, you're putting something out there, a photo, a line, whatever it may be, and sometimes we don't realize the power of what that means or what that entails or the blowback that it's going to get. I know that better than anyone, probably, because I still have a tweet being thrown in my face almost on a daily basis. But I always like to be able to explain my tweets, and I like to put the context around it. So that's exactly what we're doing right now, because the world is going to talk about it. But when we hear it from you, it shows it's not a reckless, it wasn't reckless what you did, in my opinion. It was in the moment, and no one knows that situation better than you when you were in that moment. So you took some shots at ISIS, you tweeted it out. What happened after that?
A firestorm of criticism, mostly from journalists. So there was a lot of support, from a lot of people. People are obviously very torn on this, but mostly journalists. Now, let me say this: the journalists that were critical of me have had every right to be, and they're right, because there are a lot of journalists that are coming under, they're being detained or they're being shot and killed in certain areas that are covering war zones, and their main, the way that they're able to operate is because of, the laws of warfare, and that they're non-combatants. I crossed that line when I became a combatant. I did that. For that, I am sorry for.
And you own that.
I own that. Yeah, I was wrong in that.
The journalists felt as though you were kind of chumming the waters, in a way. That you were bringing the sharks around, and they're like, whoa, 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 we're doing what we're doing, and they felt that what you did was inappropriate. But you own that. You say, you know what, I shouldn't have done that.
Right. And I am not a journalist.
Right.
I am not. I'll never be a journalist. I can't do that job. I'm a research person, but I do work at a media company, and I should have been more sensitive to that. And I also just shouldn't have put that out there. And I recognize that will put people in danger going forward. And so for that, I am sorry.
But you own it, and you stand in your truth. See, I think that's what makes it a noble endeavor for me, and it makes you the person of character that I know you as, because you can stand in your truth and you can say, listen, what I did, I should not have tweeted that. I realize that it could cause harm for some people. I am not a journalist, and I don't believe that what I did was reckless, but I could see how it could be taken that way, and I don't want that to be the case. And so you own that. Right. And I know that everyone from here to Timbuktu is contacting you after that, blowing you up, upset, angry. But here's the thing about working at the Blaze. The Blaze understands that sometimes we make mistakes. Glenn understands that sometimes we make mistakes, or we say things out of context, or we say things in the heat of the moment, or we do something that might not have been, the best at that moment, because social media is a bittersweet tool. But let's talk about that, because I know you were on Glenn's show yesterday. I know you kind of explained some of this. There were some headlines saying that, you got fired. Glenn addressed that yesterday. Yeah. There were headlines saying that Glenn was going to fire me a while back, too. So I think they just love to put it on Glenn. They really like to put him in that position, right? Yeah. But you're not fired. You're here. We're talking about it. Glenn, stood by your side. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. No, Glenn's been great. The Blaze was great. They had to do what they did. I suspended all reporting from there. They suspended me from reporting out there, which was fine. But I came back here, and they've all been supportive. They've been very firm in what I did wrong, and they've been very great with showing me the path to move forward. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people, I think, on the very hard right were like, Jason, you fired Jason for shooting at terrorists. Which again was not true. Mm-hmm. Like you say, I am still here. Everything's fine. I did not get fired. Mm-hmm. What I have done is grown from this, and so I'm a better person for it now.
Well, every controversy that comes, you confront it head on and stand in your truth. Admit when you're wrong and stand broad-shouldered when you're right, because that's all we can do in this business, and we're lucky to work at an institution. But I would just like to also point out, just to add a little fun to the situation, that Brian Williams flat out lied on television, and he is a journalist, and he's still employed. So I just like to throw that out there for folks, because the way that the mainstream media works, sometimes they like to forget their own little issues. But Jason, thank you so much. We're glad to have you back safely. And also, I want to point out that you are a military man. You're not just, random over here in skinny jeans journalist. But anyway, that's just me adding my little Tommy to that. But next, switching about 5 trillion million gears, let's talk about some last-minute holiday gifts with lifestyle expert Roni Proter. She joins me in Dallas. That's next.
You stinking parents! Take this back!
Take it back where? This is yours.
I want a refund. It's a half-eaten sandwich. Isn't that what you asked for? No, I asked for a toy.
What did you say about Santa?
He put you on a naughty list.
Why?
Because you gave me a stupid Hello Kitty gem.
It's the most wonderful, most stressful, and most capitalistic time of the year. So if you're not type A like me and find yourself in a bind for last-minute shopping ideas, we've got just the thing. Joining me, a lifestyle expert, Roni Proder. All right. We've got all kinds of fun stuff. Most of it looks edible, so I'm very excited. Those that know me know that I'm pretty excited. So we're going to go down the line because there's a lot of cool stuff here. Now I want to preface this by saying that there are a lot of folks that aren't as crafty as you are or don't have as much time as you do. But this doesn't look that difficult.
I would say I'm not crafty at all, so you are in luck. I mean,
You're
if
a chef
I can do
by
this,
trade, right?
I am. I'm a cook, and so a lot of these things have like a little culinary twist to them. But I would say even if you don't have a crafty bone in your body, you can throw together a really thoughtful gift basket for almost anybody in your family or friends.
And people enjoy it because it's something that's unexpected, too.
Yeah.
So it's not just getting something, you can get a gift card or what have you, but when you get a basket of something, it's more exciting. And also, if it's edible, it's also exciting. So
I know, it's even better if you get to eat it.
at the end, and I'm probably going to lose light, but that's okay. This is television, we'll make it work. Okay, so this basket, I want to pick it up.
So I think this would be great for a generic kind of Christmas present, because especially if you don't know somebody, every single thing in here anybody is going to love, because there's just like a little variety of everything, and it's super festive and Christmassy. So we have some tea. I love these gingerbread cookies. This is from Susie Cakes, and she is a California girl. All of these recipes from everything that she does, aren't they fresh? They're like super fresh gingerbread cookies, and it's recipes from her grandmother. So they've been passed down, all natural ingredients. She knows every single ingredient that goes into her stuff. So that's really nice. And I think, you know, candy is always nice. All of these items, by the way, are from Cost Plus World Market. And what's nice is that I feel like they have a great mix of Christmas and holiday stuff from all over the world. So something that's a little Italian and little nutcrackers. I love these little nutcrackers. I think they're so cute. You could put them, you know, anywhere in the house, and they have lots of different German elements, Italian elements, American. So
it's fun to look through something and see what someone thought of when they thought of you, like different things. It tells you a lot about your personality. You know?
I think it's almost as fun shopping for somebody as it is to get a gift.
Right, because you see something. Oh, that smells good. What is that?
Doesn't that smell good? That's cedar pine.
Cedar pine. I'm all about that.
A
and
scented
it's my
candle
color, too.
is always a really nice touch, because everybody loves candles, but it can sometimes feel a little unpersonal if you're only getting candles. So with each one of these, we have a homemade item that you get to put in, and I love this one. This is the brownie mug has been a big thing this year. Instead of just brownies or chocolate chip cookie, why not give them a mug and then give them the mix that you can make the microwave brownie
Okay,
in
so
the
tell me
mug.
how this works, because I've seen this before. So you put all the ingredients in, and then you put it in the microwave?
You put it in the microwave, and that's it. All you have to do for this one, you would just add a little bit of butter, and you put it in the microwave, and in a minute and a half, you have dessert. And it's so cozy in this adorable little drummer mug.
And people enjoy doing that as well. They like to go home and have something when they go home at the end of the night. That's how I am. You know, I go to a Christmas party or go to someone's house for Christmas, and you come home with something, and it's exciting to try it out. So we've got a lot of baskets to get to. But this is a great idea. I love that. And the mugs and everything. And it's different stuff. That's what I like. People like to open up different stuff. And instead of just putting something on the list, that's so impersonal to me. When it's just, hey, I put my Amazon list there, now go buy those things.
Oh, my gosh, no.
No,
thank
you're probably never going to get that from me. Put something on a list, you probably get the exact opposite, just to be honest. But okay, so this is one that you kind of made
for girly. I would say that this is like, we have a girls and we have a guys, and I thought of you, and I thought, well, first of all, we have a personalized mug with a T on it.
Oh, I love initials.
Just remember that this is not something that you would want to microwave in. Okay, if you have if you have anything that has like gold or metal in it.
Right. I've done that before, and there's like a weird smell that emits from the microwave.
It's sparking.
And it starts sparking, and yeah, it's like the real blaze happens in your microwave. No, good tip.
Okay, so again, we're going with something edible, so a beautiful little Santa hat. And I thought, what would be nicer for our homemade gift with this than bath salt? So I have some lavender.
Now, just to preface this, these are not the bath salts that the guy in Miami took and ate the other guy's face off. These are bath salts that you bathe in.
Yeah.
Okay, so You know, it's television. Oh, that smells good. That's lavender?
Yes, that's lavender. So you would put organic lavender. Again, I found this at Cost Plus World Market. They have all sorts of interesting stuff that's edible and also some great home things. So simple Epsom salt. If you wanted, you could always add some thyme or some rosemary essential oil, and then you would just put it in a really beautiful jar. Sometimes just having something with a little bit of color, now all of a sudden you have something that's really beautiful.
And it's cheap, too. You can get a cute jar, interesting jar, and you give it to somebody and you made it and it smells good. Yeah. They can take it home and use it. I love
think
that.
of you. Anyway, so I thought some bath salts would be really lovely.
That's
Obviously,
awesome.
do it a little bit cleaner than I did there. But you have that, and you have some beautiful, some lavender, lemon, verbena, bath wash,
right.
some baking essentials. So you have kind of everything covered for the feminine girl in your life.
It looks
pretty
nice.
Look,
I love that.
If you put everything together really nicely in a beautiful basket, you're already going to be ahead of the game.
And you can get baskets also, because I'm a thrifty individual. I go to Ross and I can find a basket. Like, that's a cute basket. Get that basket, put a bunch of stuff in it, and it doesn't have to be that expensive either. And you can use the basket for anything. I put hats in them now. That's what I
know this one from World
repurpose.
Market was $9.99, and it already had everything in it. So it has the bottom,
Oh,
you have
nice.
all of the mix in it, and you even have the cellophane and a little note. So you don't even have to worry about a card. You've got it all in there.
Love
so
that.
this
Okay,
would
this
be
is the manly
for
one,
the
then.
guy. Okay, so the candle even, this is made out of recycled wine bottle.
Oh, awesome.
And take a smell.
Ooh, that smells good.
It smells a little masculine, and we have some smoked salts. You have an antler bottle opener, which I think is super
amazing.
fun.
That is fun. People enjoy that. You know, that's something men like to pull something out that's weird.
Yes.
To
like
make
this.
conversation. Okay,
Have you
what
seen
is
these
this?
ice molds? So these are really great for a guy that's really into craft cocktails. And we even have some bitters and some fun other pumpkin cider, some hard cider, so you can make a drink yourself. But I love these ice molds. And then to go with it, why not have like a fun bar snack? So this is popcorn.
You had me at snack.
And again, if you're really not into making your own stuff, just putting together popcorn in a different variety of colors, now all of a sudden it looks like a nice gift. Okay, so this is popcorn. I used that purple popcorn. I popped it and I tossed it with some fresh rosemary. It's sweet and salty and spicy.
It is.
Oh my gosh, isn't it so good?
This is different.
I could eat this all
now
day
we're
long.
no more television. We're gonna eat now. Okay, last basket. I only have about a minute left, but who would this be for?
I thought that this would be nice for like an Italian escape. I think this time of year we're all looking for like a mental escape, and this would be really fun. We have Campari. We have some beautiful Italian pasta. Look how pretty this pasta is. Even pasta done nicely.
It's different, like a different thing that someone can try and they think of you.
Yes.
They put it in the pantry, pull it out later.
Some
I love it.
balsamic vinegar, and then I thought as your homemade item, you have some chili and garlic infused extra virgin olive oil from Italy. Again,
Oh, wow.
I got the olive oil from World Market. It was super simple. You simmer it with a little bit of chili and some garlic. You put it in a beautiful bottle. It looks rustic. It's homemade. It's sophisticated. And now you feel like you've kind of been transported somewhere
And Ronnie,
for
I only
vacation.
have like 10 seconds left, but average cost of these baskets, go.
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say anywhere from $20 to $40.
That's very affordable, but
Very
it looks much more
affordable.
expensive.
Yes.
Expensive. Thank you so much for being here. We're
Thank
going to eat the rest of
you.
the food. But up next, fun and games and Christmas cheer and the CIA. Yeah, we're going to get political again. Can Trump make American intelligence great again? We're already making Christmas great again, but we'll have more next.
Stern, only on the Blaze.
Future President Trump, this message is for you. Please, for the love of God, learn. Get off Twitter and learn. Take a break from your chest-beating victory tour and go to a security briefing. Don't go to war with the CIA. It's not helping matters. I promise you, it's not. Many of us, myself certainly included, stuck our necks out and put our reputations on the line to get you elected. I don't regret it, but now is the time to put your money where your mouth is. And the hope is he will not think he is smarter than the intelligence community. Maybe he can actually make American intelligence great again. We'll see. Joining me now with more Senior Vice President for Policy and Programs at the Center for Security Policy, Fred Fleitz. Fred, great to have you on the phone tonight.
Good to be here, Tommy.
All right, Fred. So we know that Trump's been taking kind of a beating in the media for some comments that he made about how he wouldn't be attending regular security briefings or daily security briefings. I take everything that the media says with a grain of salt. So let's flesh this out. What's really going on here?
Well, I got to say that I have some concerns about intelligence being politicized. I don't want to see Trump at war with the CIA, but we know that there has been some political meddling by intelligence officers. Most of them are non-political, but consider that during the campaign, intelligence officers said they were reluctant to brief Trump. And after he was elected, there's intelligence officers who are leaking details of his presidential daily briefings. This has to be fixed, and I think CIA Director Pompeo will be able to fix it.
Yeah.
But we can make intelligence great again, too, by getting rid of bureaucracy and streamlining bureaucracy, particularly by getting rid of the wasteful Director of National Intelligence.
Streamlining bureaucracy sounds like quite the oxymoron there, Fred. But no, I agree with you. It seems as though in some of these agencies, you have a director, and then you have, an assistant director, and then you've got the assistant to the assistant director, and the secretary to the assistant director, and it's just a whole lot of money and a time suck and a lot of red tape to go through to do a job that I don't think necessarily would be accomplished by 15 different individuals. So what could he do? What steps could he take to make that happen?
Well, in my recent National Review article, How Trump Can Make Intelligence Great Again, I talk about an intelligence hearing where there were 10 intelligence witnesses on one topic, and they all brought deputies, and they all brought handlers. There were so many of them at the Intelligence Committee. I was on the staff at the time. They couldn't all fit in the room. There's too many officials. You can't even conceive of how dense the intelligence bureaucracy is. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence is another layer of bureaucracy that's made intelligence much more risk-averse, more bureaucratic, I think more political. We have to have an organization that can quickly get a decision to Mr. Trump and, frankly, challenge conventional wisdom.
Oh, well, I think that's what this whole presidency kind of symbolizes in a way. And it's, a new business as usual, which is important. And I think we need a little shaking up here. But when he says something like, I don't need daily intelligence briefings, I've heard folks on both sides of this saying that, no, he absolutely should. And others that have said, other presidents have not had daily intelligence briefings. It's not always necessary. Sometimes the issues are so small. It's a waste of time. If there's something truly important, it will be addressed. So kind of help me through that, Fred.
Tommy, I'm really glad you asked me this because there's been a lot of dishonesty on this issue. First of all, Obama doesn't take daily intelligence briefings. Don't let anyone fool you. He doesn't see the briefers. He takes a written or digital product. Clinton skipped his intelligence briefings and took a lot of flack for it. Bear in mind that the morning briefing that Trump is supposed to get every day is being written for Obama. It's catered to Obama. Now, when Clinton was president, there used to be a annex to this briefing on global warming for Al Gore. Who knows what the Obama intelligence brief looks like? I imagine when Trump sees it, he hates it. The new intelligence briefing for President Trump will be written to cater to him, and I think at that time he will be taking these daily briefings.
You mean cater to someone that actually wants to win a war? That would be fantastic. I can only imagine. I'm gonna hypothesize what's in Obama's briefings. Like, what can we possibly do to tie the hands of the United States military even further, and then also bow our heads to the mullahs of Iran to allow them to run the globe, and then we'll pass it off to President Trump and leave him with a bag of crap. I'm having a feeling that may be some of what's involved in these daily briefings that Obama's getting. Probably also a Gulf report on the best courses of the day. But moving beyond that, I'm wondering, this is becoming a larger issue, and I don't think it's probably not just within the CIA, but other institutions and agencies as well that are just averse to Trump, and they're going to do whatever they can to cause problems for him. Are we seeing that in other areas besides just the CIA, FBI, perhaps?
Well, I think it's definitely going to happen at the State Department. It certainly will happen at CIA. I don't know about FBI. That might be taking place. I might add that I noted in my article in 2004, CIA efforts to stop George Bush from being reelected was so awful that the Wall Street Journal referred to it in an editorial as the CIA insurgency. And I mean, you can imagine they don't like their hatred of Trump is much more intense than their hatred of Bush.
Well, I'm sure it is, which is rather odd to me, but I've heard this story as well from those that are in the military that say when we have CIA around us, we're quite annoyed because they don't know what they're doing. They largely get in our way. They're the nanny state on a full-scale level, usually overseas. It's amazing to me to hear those stories. We would think that the CIA would be nonpartisan, non-political, and interested in getting the job done, but then again, everything is political these days. Fred, where can we find your article?
It's on National Review Online. It's called How President Trump Can Make Intelligence Great Again.
I love any headline that's got anything about making anything great again. Fred, as always, thanks for being with me. Have a happy holiday if I don't speak to you before then.
You too. Merry Christmas.
Thank you so much. Next, every first lady needs a signature cause. Anti-bullying is Melania Trump's, but is it kind of hypocritical given her husband's colorful ways? Let's discuss. That's next.
My husband, President Barack Obama, and our children, Sacha and Malia.
Funny how the left and the pop culture elite can get away with mocking an immigrant. Well, beyond that, Melania Trump has vowed to make anti-bullying her cause. But given her husband, can she say that with a straight face? Here to weigh in, bullying analyst and author of Miracle Man, Dawn of the Age of Heroes, Carla Tamarit. Carla, thanks for being with me.
Hi, Tommy. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well. Now, I got to tell you, not only is Gigi Hadid a really horrible actress and just, quite honestly, very hard to watch, I looked at that and I watched that and I thought that looks like a real bully to me. I don't think anybody on the right could get away with doing something like that. What are your thoughts, just right off the top?
Right off the top, I mean, for something like that, I mean, there's a difference between, poking innocent fun and really going after someone and attacking them, from my perspective. Okay. And that comes from any side, whether it's Republican or Democrat, however way you want to play it. From my perspective, bullying doesn't achieve anything. It doesn't raise the level of discourse. It doesn't raise the level of civility. Okay. And it has a tendency to really leave long-lasting effects and, I would say, negative damage. So in that example right there, okay, there's a difference between having someone who's really good in doing impersonations of someone, and it's all in good fun, it's all in jest, and there's a difference between just going after someone just because you want to. The point between a joke and the bullying is that everyone gets the joke, and people are better off for it. Bottom line.
I agree as well. I just certainly think there's a double standard for the left and the right, but that's for another time. Let's talk about Melania Trump. Now, I think Melania is a sweet individual. I think she's incredibly innocent. I don't think she's ever done anything to hurt or harm anyone that any of us are aware of. People come after her pretty hard, though, and they say that even though she wants to make anti-bullying her cause, that because she's married to Donald Trump, that somehow she doesn't have that right. I know you wrote an article on it. What are your thoughts?
Well, on my thoughts when it comes to Melania Trump and taking on this task, I salute her for it. I say, why not? The more people we have in the initiative to address the bullying aspect, okay, the better. All right. Here's the thing, whether Melania Trump or not, in terms of her intentions, okay, if she didn't intend to do something like this, if she didn't intend to address the issue, I don't think she wouldn't have mentioned it.
Right.
And regardless, again, of who's on the right or who's on the left, we have to come together as a group of people. All right. I'm wearing my favorite color, red. There's a reason why. All right. Because underneath the skin, we're all the same color. All right. So if Melania Trump wants to advance this issue, it's been too long coming. This hopefully would have happened a long time ago, but no one has really addressed from that aspect.
I know. I like the fact that she's taking this on as well. And there are other notable figures that continue to take this on. Kate Middleton being another. The royal family, actually, in Great Britain, they're taking this on. I think it's just such a noble cause as well. But here's what's very interesting to me, and it may be slightly controversial, but here's the deal. I look at someone like Beyonce as a role model, and I look at someone like Justin Bieber as a role model because for many, they are. Whether that we agree or disagree with that, they are. So when they have a fan base that call themselves the Beliebers, the Bayhive, or whatever the heck they are, and specifically talking about Beyonce's fan group because they've come after me in ways that are far beyond joking and really venture into bullying, harassment, and assault online. I look at that and I'm thinking, is it her duty as a figure, as a role model, to come out and tell her fans that perhaps they shouldn't be attacking folks? I know that I'm not the only one that they've gone after. Several in the industry they've gone after viciously.
Are you talking about, let's say, Beyonce as an example?
Yes, Beyonce, because I'm going to speak to her as an example because I've personally been harassed by her fan base.
I would say any role model in that position, okay, you can't control what anyone's going to do. And that's the difficult thing about this. However, people can influence, all right, what their fans or what their followers are going to do, all right? Beyonce had a message, the message to promote a certain idea of equality, okay? However, I would say anyone in a role model position, I would encourage them, and they should encourage their fans and their followers to say, hey, listen, let's focus on the message. All right. Yes, the country has a history. Yes, people are not always going to agree. And there's going to be small pockets of people, regardless of the spectrum, okay, who are going to take things to the extreme. However, anyone who's in a role model position should say, hey, listen, you know what? This is the message, okay? Let's unify and work something out. There's ideas both on the right and the left and in the middle that people can use and benefit from.
Right.
Okay.
Well, you know,
So,
here's kind of where I was going with this, because I will say I have a fan base as well, quite a large fan base, especially on social media. And if I see any fan of mine, anyone that claims to be a fan or a follower of mine, and I see them in my comment section attacking anyone in a way, calling them names, throwing the N-word out there, being a bully, harassing folks, threatening violence to anyone, I not only block that person, I delete their comments off the entire page. And those are followers of mine. They may even be doing it to come to my defense, but I still don't tolerate it, because that's not what I want in my image. That's not what I want my fan base to represent. So I take that on. I wish Beyonce would do the same. I've yet to hear her do so. But, you know, beyond that, I'm happy that Melania Trump is taking this on. I hope that she will get the chance to do so and people will get off her back a little bit, because I do think that she is a great individual. I think that we can separate her from her husband, even if you dislike her husband, because I think everyone was able to do that with Bill and Hillary, and we were told to do that with Bill and Hillary. But thanks for being with me tonight, and, you know, thanks for your positive message.
Anytime. Thank you so much, Tommy. You have a wonderful night. Merry Christmas.
Thank you so much. As Aleppo burns, the UN petitions Wonder Woman's bra size. Yeah, I'm going to address it because my final thoughts. It's time for final thoughts. Now, the situation in Aleppo is heartbreaking. This week, Syrian families posted goodbye videos and final messages for the world to see, an attempt to remind the world what true oppression and victimhood looks like. They're being hunted like animals, but remain hopeful. Hopeful some outside force, designated, created, designed, and funded to bring about human rights, sanctuary, and justice might step in. Like maybe the freaking United Nations. But no, they've got better things to do, like petition the use of Wonder Woman as an honorary UN ambassador. Yeah, this is real life. Yeah, not kidding. The petition has 45,000 signatures, so goodbye Wonder Woman. And why? Because the feminist crybabies don't think a big-boobed white woman in an American flag bodysuit sends the right message. Modern-day feminism has to be the dumbest load of hypocritical crap ever masqueraded as an equality movement. Seriously, we should use Wonder Woman as a symbol of female strength and empowerment because she's too sexual, but the loudest feminist of them all, Lena freaking Dunham, should be celebrated for burning our eyeballs with her nakedness on HBO? Wonder Woman is offensive, but when a man wins Women of the Year, that's cool? I don't get the way their brains work. I really don't. Free birth control so I don't have kids, but free abortions in case I want to execute my fetus? Interesting movement you got going there. The movement that picks and chooses which women are empowering and which are deplorable. Feminists encourage women to be themselves and celebrate their bodies when they say it's okay, of course. Hillary Clinton, ceiling breaker. Kellyanne Conway, Sarah Palin, Melania Trump. Worthy of endless ridicule. The movement doesn't know what it wants because it's not about equality anymore. But while the feminists and the UN mull over which fictional comic book character would be acceptable, people are dying in the streets of Aleppo in the crisis in the Middle East. And it didn't happen because of the UN, but when the institution specifically designed to police human rights spends more time policing how big Wonder Woman's boobs are, people die. Priorities. Let's reevaluate the UN mission statement and pull our heads out of the sand, shall we? Maybe help actual women instead of pretending to help women in a sorry effort to make headlines? Those are my final thoughts. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Tomi Lahren from Dallas. God bless and take care.